hadn't joined a video call in 23 days, but no one asked where I was. Not Ethan, not HR, not even the intern who used to ping me 6 times a day asking how to fix merge conflicts. The silence wasn't cold, it was convenient. Because everything worked. Tickets closed themselves. Reports landed in inboxes at 9:00 a.m. sharp. Customer emails got polite, context-aware replies. And payroll flawless. No hiccups. No overtime. I'd built the machine to outlive me. Not out of martyrdom, but survival. At first it was small, a script to sort my inbox. Then an automation layer for invoice validation. Then the escalation handler for client tickets. One by one, I made myself invisible. Not because I wanted to vanish, but because being visible came with questions, meetings, microaggressions, jokes about girl coders from men who couldn't read their own logs. So I stayed quiet, let the system speak. I lived in compression socks and hoodies now, slept in a swivel chair next to a backup battery. Meals came in microwavable trays. I hadn't worn mascara in months. I stopped attending daily stand-ups when I realized no one noticed if I did. And once I routed sprint planning through an AI prioritization tool, the team started calling it magic. No one thought to ask who wrote it. I didn't mind, not really. I was tired of correcting them. Once during a late-night test, I renamed the heartbeat scheduler Cassiopeia. No one ever caught it. Another time, I programmed a Slack bot to answer Ethan's questions with my own phrasing. He called it surprisingly intuitive. I logged it with a timestamp and moved on. Every day, I erased myself a little more. In return, the company ran better than ever. And when they published last quarter's numbers, they credited leadership efficiency and streamlined processes. I didn't even flinch. I just clicked open the core admin console, checked the silent heartbeat on all modules, and watched every line of code blink back like pulse monitors in an empty room. And then one Thursday morning, I got a calendar invite labeled Restructure Discussion. 15 minute, no agenda, no CC. Just Ethan. I accepted, quietly, and went to refill my coffee. Ethan's smile was the kind you rehearse in the mirror before a promotion meeting, not a termination. "Hey, Calla, thanks for hopping on. We'll just keep this brief." He tilted his head like a golden retriever who'd read one too many LinkedIn articles on empathetic leadership. HR appeared seconds later, her camera off. Her name was Jenna or Gemma. Some soft consonant blur I barely remembered. "We're restructuring," Ethan said, already nodding before he finished. "It's not about performance, it's about alignment. You've actually made things so efficient that, well, it's hard to justify redundancy when there's no friction." He laughed a breathy chuckle that felt like a hallway echo. "You've basically automated yourself out of a job. That's impressive." "Really?" I didn't blink. Just listened. Anyway, he continued adjusting his collar. "We're grateful, of course, truly, but we'll be deactivating your credentials by noon. HR will send the exit materials shortly, and take some time for yourself. Recharge. No severance, no mention of the last 5 years, no handshake, virtual or otherwise. Just Ethan circling back to irrelevance. I clicked leave meeting before either of them finished their canned phrases. My screen went dark. Then after a breath, something shifted beneath it deep inside the infrastructure. A sequence quietly unfurled in the back end. Bluebird status pending, a heartbeat, silent, coded months ago. A whisper that would become thunder if my user profile ever ceased to exist. It wasn't designed to destroy. It was designed to reveal. I didn't need to send a message. I had already written one in thousands of lines of logic they never bothered to read. I stood from my chair and stretched. The mug on my desk read, "I debugged your entire career." I bought it as a joke after Ethan once asked what DNS stood for. In my peripheral monitor, logs updated. The system noted my removal. Bluebird pulsed once, then again. Activation confirmed. I poured a glass of water, closed my laptop, and opened a weathered notebook I hadn't touched in years. At the top of the first page, I'd written a single phrase, "If fired, wait 6 hours." By noon, nothing had exploded. And that was the point. The system was designed to degrade gracefully at first, like a body cooling before anyone notices the pulse is gone. Just subtle decay. At 12:41 p.m., the first email alert came in. The invoicing queue had duplicated all outgoing payments. Not a glitch, just a subtle mirror effect coded into the secondary logic tree of the automation script. The field tag was red sky fallback, which no one had ever questioned. By 1:10, the HR bot still, my handiwork began approving vacation requests with a cheerful auto reply, enjoy your PTO, RO in hell. By 1:45, the legal archive returned null on every contract prior to last quarter. I knew they'd panic, but not too fast. Their recovery plan was built on documentation I'd helped review 6 months ago. It never existed. The backups pointed to a sandbox folder named Compliance Real Final Zip that played elevator music when opened. At 2:06, the CEO's dashboard failed to load KPI metrics. A spinning wheel replaced her leadership index. She'd probably blame the junior team first. She always did, but I wasn't watching out of spite. I watched like a forensic pathologist clean detachment. This was the post-mortem of arrogance. I hadn't set traps. I had simply removed myself. Bluebird logged every escalation in real time. The logs weren't visible to IT. They rolled silently across my home terminal like tide charts. I didn't interfere. That was the point. They were going to ask who broke the system. The answer was no one. I just stopped fixing it. I microwaved leftover lentils, sat on my worn beanbag chair, and let the day unravel one line of silent logic at a time. My hands never touched the keyboard. My phone stayed silent, notifications off. That part had always been manual. By 2:32, the vendor portal flagged every incoming invoice as a phishing attempt. And by 3:05, someone from facilities submitted a help desk ticket that simply said, "The printer is possessed." I read the next log entry. It was time-stamped exactly 3:17 p.m., and it marked the first time the office printer woke on its own to print 3 words in Comic Sans Wears Kala at 4:11 p.m. Ethan called. I watched the screen light up and fade out. The second time, I let it ring. By the third, he left a voicemail that started with my name and ended with, "We may have, underestimated your role." I listened once, then deleted it. The decoys were already unfolding. Phase 1 wasn't about damage, it was about visibility. You can't fix what you refuse to see. And they had refused to see me for 5 years. At 4:23, the internal knowledge base began redirecting every search to a Rick Astley video. I watched on my monitor as someone tried to query expense report protocol and was greeted by "never gonna give you up" twice. I'd embedded it as a test trigger years ago. No one ever asked why the file was named FAC Backup Manggent Final 3 Feb 19, but real and P4. By 4:40, the recovery script labeled Master Restore was run by someone in DevOps. The script activated a dummy console complete with fake success messages and a blinking cursor that led nowhere. Then, like clockwork, it cleared the test environment folder and replaced it with a single file, a GIF of a dumpster fire in slow motion. I poured myself a glass of cheap red and sat cross-legged in my chair, watching the Slack logs scroll by in real time. A junior PM tagged Ethan in 4 separate channels. Someone in HR asked if someone named Kala had set up access to version control. Someone else typed, "What the hell is happening?" in all caps and got a clown emoji in reply from the old finance bot. I hadn't touched a line of code today, not directly, but everything I built was still alive, just no longer on their side. By 5:02, Slack filled with shadows, no jokes, no emojis, just threads of confusion stitched together by silence. I sipped from a chipped mug that read, "World's Most Disposable Asset," and thought about how I used to beg to be included. In meetings, in decisions, in credit. And now without a word, they were building entire emergency plans around a single question they didn't want to ask out loud. Where was I? 6 months ago, I sat across from Ethan in a glass-walled conference room that overlooked nothing, just another beige hallway. I'd come with numbers, clean, airtight proof that my automation stack had cut over $2 million in annual overhead. I'd stayed late running projections, formatted slides, even color-coded the charts. Ethan skimmed them, then pushed the printouts aside like coasters. "You're already well compensated for your role," he said, lacing his fingers. "The real value here is teamwork, not code." He said it like it was wisdom. I said nothing, but something folded shut inside me. Not broke, just sealed. That night, I started changing the system, not out of anger, out of clarity. I replaced the escalation process with a layered flow chart built on conditional triggers. If handled improperly, it looped itself into audit limbo. I embedded decoy files with innocent names. One of them, lunch order script.js, actually contained the CRM's load balancing failover logic. I knew no one would touch it. Then I created echo logs, a folder on an encrypted drive linked to passive microphone triggers on my calls. It captured everything, every dismissive laugh, every moment someone repeated my idea 2 minutes later and got credit, every time Ethan said, "Let's simplify for the team," before stripping my name off an architecture doc. The echo logs weren't labeled for spite. They were categorized, minimized, erased, mocked, overruled. I had hours of audio, each tagged and time-stamped. I hadn't meant to use them. At first, they were just insurance for when gaslighting became standard. But now they were proof. Not that I was great, but that I had been there. That I had mattered. That they had known and still chosen convenience over contribution. At 6:12 p.m., I uploaded a silent ping to the backup node I kept off-grid. It returned green. I opened the Echo Logs folder and clicked through the most recent entries. Ethan's voice from 2 weeks ago. "She's like a blender. Great when she works, annoying when she doesn't." Then the muffled laughter of people who depended on every line I wrote. I renamed the folder Exhibit A. The knock came just after 9. Soft. Too polite to be a neighbor, too unsure to be a friend. I looked through the peephole and saw Nora Duval, quo polished professional, still wearing her lanyard like a shield. She held a woven basket filled with lavender bath bombs, stale cookies, and a bottle of barefoot Merlot wrapped in cellophane. I didn't open the door right away. She shifted her weight, checked her phone, then smoothed her blazer like that might help. After a full minute of silence, I cracked the door. "Hi," she said, voice thinner than usual. "I just wanted to speak off the record." I tilted my head. "Did you bring severance or just the Dollar Tree sympathy?" She blinked. "I didn't understand what you built." I held her gaze. "No, you did. You just didn't respect it." She started to speak again, but I stepped back and opened my laptop. No invitation to enter. No coffee. I pulled up Echo Logs, scrolled to the file I'd bookmarked, and hit play. Ethan's voice filled the air between us. "She's like a blender. Great when she works, annoying when she doesn't. Replaceable." Nora's face shifted like someone realizing the room was wired. The next clip rolled. "We can spin it as role redundancy. Say she was consulted, not removed." Her jaw tightened. I didn't pause the recording. I just looked at her. "I'm not burning bridges," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I'm salting the ruins and watching what never grows again." She stepped back half a pace. The gift basket rustled as her hands trembled. The tag on it read, "Relax, rejuvenate, recharge." The irony was enough to peel paint. "I want to make this right," she said. Finally, her voice dropped to a whisper. "We're losing grip. I know it now." I studied her. Clean blazer, perfectly lined eyeliner, and a growing crack behind the eyes. "You came to the right house," I said. Then I pulled up a second folder, one I hadn't opened in a while. Its name was simple, Phase 2. At 9:02 a.m., every client dashboard received a new tile, neat-centered, non-intrusive. It read, "Why your service just got slower." Click it and a video opened. Me. No filters, no editing. Just me in a sweatshirt. Eyes dark, posture, tired voice steady. Hi, I'm Kala Reyes. You don't know me, but you've used my work every day for the past 3 years. Today your system will slow by approximately 67%, not due to a hack, not due to a failure, but because I was removed. The video cut to charts before and after comparisons, load times, API sync cycles, bug reports, all logged, all time-stamped. Then Ethan's voice. We can afford to lose her. The clients won't notice. Back to me. Let me know if you notice. I ended the video with a clickable link. Contact Kala Reyes Restoration Options. By 10:30 a.m., my inbox held 12 client emails, 3 with subject lines that just said WTF. 4 Zoom invites followed. Then a call from Trevor Lang, VP of Ops at our biggest logistics client. I don't know who the hell let you go, he said, but I'd like to fire them personally. I didn't laugh, just took notes. At 11:12, I received a message from a private board address. One sentence. Would you be open to a strategic discussion? Ethan, meanwhile, was apparently sweating through his Banana Republic button-up, scrambling to draft a company-wide statement that said nothing useful. I got the forwarded draft from an ally in procurement unexpected system instability due to third-party error. I uploaded a redline version with a new title, What Happens When You Fire the Architect and Keep the House. I didn't wait for permission. By noon, I had my terms written in clean bullet points. 3 total. Simple. Clear. I opened my notebook, drew a small diagram labeled Control Flow After Termination, and clicked into a secure room titled Offer Direct. Then I sent the link to the board. Ethan called again. This time I answered. He didn't start with pleasantries. Look, he said, we messed up. I messed up. You were more integral than we realized. I let the silence stretch, let him hear his own words echo into the gap. Then I spoke calm and measured. You thought I was a blender, Ethan. Annoying when I didn't work. Replaceable. He coughed. That clip was taken out of context. I cut him off. Don't insult both of us. He exhaled long and slow. What do you want, Kala? I had it ready. A single-page doc, 3 lines long. I read them aloud. 1, a written statement to the board acknowledging the mishandling of my termination. Names included. Yours first. He didn't respond. 2, my admin credentials reinstated in full, with protection clauses. No silent lockouts, no shadow edits. Still nothing. 3, you'll report to Camille. She's 23 and she understands the system better than you ever did. He made a strangled sound part. Protest, part pride, imploding. That's not realistic. I shrugged, even though he couldn't see it. Neither was firing your architect and expecting the house to stand. He said nothing for a while. I imagined him in the break room gripping a paper cup with fingers that suddenly felt useless. Then he asked, quieter, "Are you coming back?" "No," I said. "I'm taking over. I wasn't here to fix their mess. I was done cleaning up after men who didn't understand what they broke. I wasn't offering recovery. I was setting terms for succession." "I'll talk to the board," he said finally. "You do that," I replied and hung up. I opened the admin console for the first time in weeks. It flickered, then unlocked with my biometric key. The interface pulsed like it had been waiting. Logs flowed back in, systems connected. I didn't press restore. I pressed observe. Then I picked up my pen, crossed out a line in my notebook, and beneath it wrote in clean block letters, Phase 3 Rebuild under my name. At 6:03 a.m. Saturday morning, I logged in. They had restored my credentials just after midnight, rushed, sloppy, barely hidden in the audit trail. Ethan's digital fingerprints were all over the access logs, like someone trying to patch a sinking ship with Post-its. I didn't fix anything right away. I watched Bluebird flicker online, silent, seamless. Dashboards began syncing, client pipelines untangled, payroll queues hummed back to life. I let it all breathe. Then with a single command, I released the system from the chokehold. I didn't restart every thread, just the ones that mattered. I left a few ghost bugs untouched, the occasional timestamp drift, a help desk bot that replied in haiku every 4th request. Gentle reminders. The system doesn't run on power. It runs on presence. It runs on respect. Monday morning, I walked into the office for the first time in nearly a month. The building smelled like static and stale apologies. Half-eaten pastries lined the communal counter like offerings. Desks were cluttered with desperation. A whiteboard in operations read, "Map of current known issues," and underneath someone had written, "Just cry," in red marker. I passed the engineering pod. Conversations dropped as I moved through. No one made eye contact, not out of shame, out of memory. Ethan's new desk was next to the copier, smaller, no window. His shoulders curled in on themselves as he stared at a screen full of flagged alerts. He didn't look up. Camille pinged him mid-scroll. "Please summarize the morning outage reports for Cala before EOD." He replied with a single thumbs-up emoji. It was the most obedient thing I'd ever seen from him. I didn't stop to speak. I didn't need to. The system already had. In the war room, the one they used to keep locked for leadership strategy, I sat down, connected my tablet, and watched every recovery log stream in like a tide returning to shore. At the top of the admin panel, the label next to my role had changed. Not engineer, not administrator. It read, Architect Cala Reyes Undeletable. And below it, a new option, blinked to life, deploy foundation protocol. At 9:00 a.m., I walked into the boardroom carrying nothing but a tablet and a quiet resolve. The room felt colder than usual, part climate control, part caution. No one greeted me. They just watched. I didn't bring slides. I didn't need a pitch deck. I connected my tablet to the main display, tapped once, and let the screen fill with what I'd built. A new architecture, clean, intuitive, resilient. It mapped every layer of workflow permissions, reporting task assignment, anomaly detection, each piece coded with transparency, and every single module was annotated. Not by initials, but by purpose. No vanity, no black box logic. It wasn't brilliant because I built it. It was brilliant because anyone could. This, I said, is not dependent on me. It runs because it's designed for trust, not control, not fear, just clarity. I showed the new governance protocol, the modular failover schema, the built-in audit trail that couldn't be overwritten, only acknowledged. I showed them how Bluebird was no longer a secret heartbeat. It was now the framework's foundation, open-sourced and readable. They leaned forward. One or two exchanged glances. No questions came. Just focus. I set down the clicker and looked at them one by one. I'm not returning as an employee, I said. I'm not asking for a title. A pause. Then the shift. I'm returning as a partner. I'll rebuild the department under a new charter with my own team, my own structure reporting directly to the board. And when I'm done, I will name my successor. No one argued. Victor Liu, CTO, sat back in his chair. He didn't vote. He didn't need to. Approved, he said like a verdict. The lights in the boardroom stayed dim. I disconnected the tablet and let the final screen linger behind me, foundation protocol initialized. Later that day, I passed Ethan's new desk. He didn't look up. Camille sent him another task. He nodded, typed. I didn't slow down. Outside, the air smelled like something new. Not victory, not revenge, just breath. And in the back of my mind, Bluebird hummed, not as a weapon, not as a warning, but as a witness.